Hi, this is James. I'm your wine specialist here at the Helvetia Farm Market, and I'm really excited for my opportunity to carry local flavors from Oregon and Washington, wines from across not just the Willamette Valley, but all sorts of other growing regions in Oregon and Washington. The variety that we have here is exceptional. We're always having free tastings, and we want you to be able to have the opportunity to come learn about your palate and exploring the Oregon wines here at the Helvetia Farm Market. It doesn't matter if you're doing a tasting at a fancy winery or at some small boutique or maybe at your local bar. We do free tastings here at the Helvetia Farm Market, and it doesn't matter where you're at. I just think it's really important for you to be aware of how you can maximize your complimentary tasting experience to maximize the benefits of that. We want to think about tasting wine from the framework of how our sensory exploration is done. And so what do we like to talk about when we're doing any tasting is we like to talk about the four parts, and we're going to start from the top and work our way down. When you're tasting wine, it's really important for you to watch it being poured and to use your eyes. And when you're using your eyes, you're looking for color, you're looking for clarity. You're also looking for shades of colors within colors. And this is a perfect opportunity for you to spin that wine, to show that wine with different aspects of light, and just to see what that wine is showing you in terms of, is it young? Are you getting any brown tones? Has it been aged extra? Has it been a wine that's been sitting in oak, and therefore that might influence the color of that a little bit? Then after we get to the place where we've seen the wine, we're going to jump down here and we're going to smell the wine. It's often kind of considered that when you're smelling a wine, when you're using your olfactory system, that you're going to spin that wine to release the flavors. But when you're spinning that wine, you also want to be thinking about what are you going to do to get your nose into that wine as best as possible. And it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but we want you to absolutely touch your glass to the bottom of your nose, right there, so that you can touch the glass and totally get in there and smell the wine. The further, the deeper your noggin can go, the better you're going to experience the wine. Another thing that happens when you're spinning is it's going to release some of those natural occurring elements in the wine. We like to refer to those as either terpenes or phenols or other flavors that are being released. Those are the fruits, those are the secondary notes like bottle aging, or the tertiary notes like bottle aging, or the secondary notes is your barrel aging. And with these different aging, you're going to get different aspects of flavors on the nose that you're sensing. Those odors that you're getting, it's a perfect time to also check to see if there's something off-putting, or maybe something that you might sense as flawed. Because if you feel like it's flawed, you might want to ask, I'm not so sure if I want to taste this, and then you're going to taste it much more carefully. And that leads to the third and almost the final part. So we've gone from our eyes, we're observing it also with our nose, and now we go in for the taste. We're going to spin it again, and we're also going to take a sip of that. The first sip helps your palate to really get used to the environment of that wine in the environment of your palate. So it's kind of gross to talk about, but your mouth is filthy. I know that sounds absolutely rude for me to say, but it's a good thing that your mouth is filthy. That bacteria that's in your mouth helps your palate taste what you're experiencing. And so that bacteria that's naturally occurring in your mouth, we're going to put that to work, and we're going to sip that wine the first time. We're going to go back and we're going to sip that wine a second time. We're not going to give anybody any comments. We're just experiencing it. We're going to get the texture of it. We're not really going to describe the flavors until after the third sip. Once we go in for the third sip, we're now at the place where we can then describe what we're experiencing. Now we're getting into the fourth part. So we've gone from using your eyes, using your nose, using your palate to describe, and now we're going to use our brain. What do I mean by that? Well, your brain has the ability and the capacity to create language. Language is one of my favorite things about wine because it is through language that we can express what we're sensing. So this is the perfect opportunity for you to use your own poetry, where you can talk about this wine as, oh, that reminds me of my great granny who used to wear this one perfume, or this reminds me of that forest I used to walk through behind that pond, and oh, this reminds me of this flavor I had when I was visiting my ancestors' family homeland, and it's just a great opportunity to use your brain to explain what you're exploring. However, if you're lacking experience in explaining those notes, we want you to have the opportunity to describe, first of all, the primary tasting note, and that's always going to be fruit. If you're getting something besides fruit, you're going to have to suppress that and really come back to what is the fruit that you're tasting. We might like to refer to that as a fruit note. Now, it's not a sin to go ahead and say, oh, it tastes like grapes. But really what we're looking for is, what is the note that the grapes are giving you? What is the complexity that's there? So for example, if I was going to have a Chardonnay and I know that it's going to be grapey, that's fine. But what I want to do now is to describe what is the note that I'm getting from that flavor that's gone through a process where it's been fermented, where it's been bottle aged and barrel aged. And what am I going to do to describe that? Well, I'm going to maybe talk about the citrus, or I'm going to talk about the tree fruit, or I'm going to talk about the different flavors that happen to be there that describe some other fruits. So this is where we get to have the sensory experience with the wine. We're going to go ahead and follow the 4 basic techniques. We're going to start with our eyes. We're going to look at it. We're going to see the aspect of it through the light. We're going to take a look at the clarity of it. I'm actually seeing a touch of effervescent here. Not frizzante, so I'm not getting these bubbles that continue to go. And I'm seeing the straw color. A little bit of a reflected steely color to it. Very enjoyable color. I'm also noticing that as I spin the cup that I'm already getting some strong flavors coming from this on my palate, and then I'm getting that light honey as well as lemon and citrus. The alcohol is still youthful on this, so I feel like I'm getting a real full palette of alcohol lifting all sorts of other flavors. So if that's what I've done, I've gone from my eyes to my nose, now I can go in for the palate. The first taste is just to get it used to your own field of bacteria in your mouth. The second taste kind of helps me to slow down before I start describing what I'm sensing. And the third taste is where we get to induce our brain into the process of describing the wine. Good. So the lovely chill on this is still holding on to some of the tight fruits. I'm still getting a little bit of that tree fruit and a lot of pear. Not so much the apple, but kind of a Danjou pear. It's kind of sparkly on my palate. It really speaks to the craft that Dr. Robert Britton is putting on this for Mike Backus. I feel like Robert Britton has done a great job of capturing some of that crispness, but at the same time, there's a minerality here that's absolutely engaging. It makes me want to go back and again and again. If I was having this by itself, I would enjoy that on an 80-degree day. If I was to have it inside on a maybe a gray day in Oregon, I might be enjoying this with a soft cheese. I might also enjoy it with a bit of, oh boy, I might even be tempted to do some toasted hazelnuts, some sea salt hazelnuts with this. It's very crisp and lovely. Tasting wine doesn't have to be esoteric, doesn't have to be snobby, but it does really help when you slow it down and you think about those 4 steps. so that you can enjoy and maximize the benefit of each pour. Cheers. We're going to have an amazing opportunity coming up for you in just a couple of days at the Helvetia Farm Market for you to practice these strategies for tasting. And it's our 4th annual, July the 12th, Saturday from 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock. It's our wine fest. And we call it a festival because it's really a celebration of the local flavors of wines from around the area. The diversity of wine that you're going to be having here from these 10 different wineries is going to be extreme. The winemakers themselves represent different strategies for making wine, different belief systems. A lot of them are using what I refer to as wild or natural fermentation. Some of them don't do any filtering or fining. Some of them are making sparkling. Some of them making amazing presentations of Pinot Noir. You're going to get whites and reds and rosés and all sorts of different flavors and sparkling. I want you to come to this event and think about what you can do to increase your brain power, your access to your tasting, your sensory, and also your eye observing these wines so that you can learn to appreciate wines on a deeper level. That's why we're doing this Wine Fest for the 4th year in a row, to celebrate local plus helping you to access these amazing flavors for your palate.